Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting.
And Stacy's not coming.
Okay.
Josh,
Rick, and Stacy.
Rick was the other one. Yeah, I was trying to remember who the other one was. And then
Why don't
Andrew
I
is
see-
supposed to be late.
Okay.
They have a full-time staff.
We're gonna have to do some follow-up with Stacy because she has not attended a board
I
meeting in
didn't think
2
so.
years.
Oh. Does she know she is on?
Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly.
of a quorum. We do have some folks that are going to be straggling in, but I'll call the meeting to order, and then what we can do is we're going to start with a couple of items that don't require a vote. So I think we'll start with the snowmelt 5-year study update, which Melvin will give us, and then we'll shift to Tim's CEO report, and then hopefully we'll be caught up and be able to take some action, much needed action, on some items at the beginning. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, snowmelt.
Snowmelt. So as part of the reauthorization, we had Geotech conduct another 5-year audit of all of the snowmelt systems that we manage in downtown. The last time we had done this, it looked like the report was completed in January of 2020. So if you made it through the entire report, please stop by the front desk for your gold star, because it was a slog. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I just want to bring your attention to a couple of high-level items. So essentially, the take-home message for all of the snowmelt systems, which are phase 1, 2, and 3 in Monroe Center, as well as the Campow Promenade. Sorry, James, this was working, and now it's not working. I got it. There we go. Were that aside from them getting dug up when we don't know that happens, or contractors coming in and breaking them, they anticipate each of the systems to operate normally over the 5 years, that if we continue to do maintenance as aggressively as we have been doing over the last 5 years, they anticipate that they will continue to operate. They did call out some higher level items of things that they are kind of keeping an eye on and may need to replace in the course of those 5 years, but there was no glaring major issues that we need to correct. We are pretty on top of correcting those. One thing I did want to highlight is on page 2, for when you go home and inevitably get this thing out and take a look at it. We did ask them what would be the cost of replacing the phase 1 snowmelt, because that's a question this body and others often ask, and that price tag came in at about $3.3 million, which is way more than we assess every year and more than we have in fund reserve to cover. So not saying it needs to be replaced, but that is a question that we wanted answered because it comes up so often. And then they goes through and kind of highlights some of the major work that was done over the last couple of years. The last piece of major work that was done, we replaced a pretty large section of snowmelt in the Monument Park phase of the snowmelt up near the Children's Museum. That work was authorized by this body back in October of 2024. That work was completed in October of 2025. We won't get into that. There's a whole separate line item on the budget on the agenda, about that. But that was the last major work that was done. No major work needs to happen right now. And then there is some work that needs to happen. It's not major, it's just some minor stuff that needs to happen. On the Monument Park snowmelt, as you recall, Division was under construction for the better part of 2 years. As that was being reassembled, there was some missed connections and things not assembled correctly when they were going back and doing that. So all of that work is covered under warranty, and our contractor is working to sort of fix that, and that work will happen once the season for snowmelt is done, because we can't do that work while we actively need the snowmelt happening. The other last thing I'll just highlight for you is they provided us with a 5-year projection of budget for maintenance. This was just a maintenance budget, just preventative, proactive maintenance that needs to happen. It does not include the operation, utilities, things like that, or major repairs. They do try to factor in some repair work into this budget, but it's relatively in line with the expenses that we've been seeing for the snowmelt. And they even called out that they were pretty aggressive in what they thought the costs would be over the last 5 years, and have kind of tamped that in. And I will give our staff here credit for over the last 5 years. We've restructured admin team a little bit. My position now existed. It didn't really exist when the last study was being conducted. So we're just tracking maintenance and utilities a lot better than we were during the last 5-year study that they conducted. And so I think we're able to get a much more accurate picture of what it costs to operate and maintain these systems throughout the district. Don't want to belabor the report too much, but It's a very technical document. If you don't want to go through it, I don't. But I'm happy to take any questions that anyone might have about it.
Dave?
One quick one. What was the useful life of the system?
Phase 1 and 2 are beyond their useful life. So phase 1 is specifically why we asked a replacement cost. I think useful life for these things is probably tops out at best 15 years. Phase 1 is coming up on, I think, over 20 at this point. So it's not cobbled together and it's not Frankenstein together, but I think just we're very aware that it's beyond where it would.
Yeah,
it
so
should
what's the
normally be.
source of the three, if you do it or replace the 3 million, you just assess the district? I mean, I'm just saying, in all reality, that's kind of it's a huge.
Yeah, I think the way we've talked about it in the past, and Tim, jump in here, I think is like the DID probably couldn't do it alone. We would need assistance from at least the DDA and very likely the city.
So like bond for a longer term or something, or?
Potentially,
Yeah.
or, yeah, DDA could contribute. We could have a conversation with the city if there's another road project that's going on, but yeah, we'd have to look at other sources. We would want to assess that full amount.
Yeah, that's a lot of money
Right, yeah, that.
to a very small amount of stakeholders.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great. Kate?
Just real quick, on the division work where the work wasn't done correctly, if you have feedback on contractors or anything that we should think about for future.
Sure.
Send those to engineering or send those,
Yeah, I can inquire with Geotech about
yeah,
any
to
of
see
that
if
detail.
there's anything
Yeah.
we can do to avoid that in the future.
I do want to just quickly plug, I will say that communication between the city and our team has improved a lot in terms of people busting the road open and not letting us know that that's going to happen, so that we can make sure that our contractor's on site, so that when the road inevitably gets opened up or the sidewalk gets opened up, Geotech can be there to assess the damage or help guide them in trying to mitigate as much damage as possible. And then same thing, putting things back together, trying to keep Geotech on site, or having them or Van Dyken be the ones that actually put the thing back together and not a construction company who doesn't do this, has been very helpful in keeping the system operating optimally. So thanks to your team, Kate, to making sure that they're communicating with us as much as possible.
Any additional questions? Awesome. Thanks for starting us off there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. And I think we're good with our number?
Yeah.
Yes, with quorum. So we're going to go ahead and start back over from the beginning, and then we'll skip over snow melt. We'll start with some minute approvals, then on to financials. So we'll entertain a motion to approve meeting minutes from October 15, 2025. Okay, moved.
Approved.
Support?
Or seconded.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Any questions or changes to the minutes?
Jump right to it.
All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Approved. Now, thank you. Okay, second is approve meeting minutes from February 18th.
Nope, we don't
What?
have to approve those.
We don't.
Nope.
Yeah, that was our, we didn't have a quorum at that meeting.
No quorum, so it wasn't minutes.
Oh,
Those are
sorry,
just
you're
an
right, okay.
update from
So
a
the
meeting.
update, okay, so the meeting minutes, got it. We didn't have a quorum, so we cannot approve them. Gotcha. Okay, next we're gonna, so a motion to accept the June fiscal year 2025 year-end financial statements.
Move.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any comments? Thank you.
Good afternoon. So there's only just a couple changes to these since you were given a preliminary year-end at the end of FY '25. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take any.
We had these at the last meeting as well, just as a part of the packet. So if you have additional questions. Okay, let's go ahead and vote on these and then we can move on. So, so we have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. And next, accept February 2026 financial statements.
Hello. So yeah, statements as of February 28 are included in your packet. At this point, we are 66% of the way through the year, and we are at about 50% in the district-wide fund and about 104% in the snow melt fund, hence the next agenda item. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Nothing unusual. You've got your list of expenditures going back to September attached.
Is 50% at this point in the year, is that normal?
Yeah, I would say so. Mostly because the DDA will pay at the beginning of the year before the DID is, assessment is collected for the ambassador services, because they split costs rather than splitting them like evenly per month. The DDA will pay and then the DID will. So we will most likely catch up in the district-wide fund. But yeah, it's pretty normal.
Thanks.
Anything additional? Okay, we'll take a motion to accept.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any additional comments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Accepted. Thank you. Okay, Melvin, snow melt budget amendment. You wanna
Yes, as
start off this
I
one?
alluded to and Tricia reaffirmed, we spent too much money in the snow melt budget this year. So as I mentioned, back in October of 2024, this body approved work to be done in the Monument Park phase of the snow melt system. That work didn't actually occur until October of 2025 due to some parts and material delays. It took us about a whole year to get those in and finally get those fixed. As a result, that money came out of this current fiscal year's budget, not the previous fiscal year's budget. So we're about $10,000 over where we would normally want to be for spending. So there is a request to this body for an amendment to the budget not to exceed $60,000. That will cover the $10,000 that we're over and provide us a $50,000 cushion, just because the snow melt system, as you all are aware today, is still operating because it's freezing cold outside. So we anticipate some additional utility bills and operational costs for the snow melt. We don't anticipate it to be $50,000 worth. It's just enough to give us a cushion to make sure that we don't have to come back to this body and say, we need another amendment. So it's just hopefully enough cushion to get us through the end of the fiscal year or end of the snow melt year. Hopefully in April, cross our fingers. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that. This was relatively anticipated. I thought we would actually be doing this budget amendment last fiscal year, but because of where the work fell, it's in this fiscal year. So, and we have about $430,000 in the snow melt fund reserve, which will cover this potentially $60,000 budget amendment. So we're not really concerned about expending those extra dollars.
Make a motion to accept the snow melt budget amendment of $60,000.
Thank you. You have support? Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
You got discussion still.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. Thank you,
For
Dave.
clarification, Melvin, so are you saying that the actual project cost was $88,000? Or we only spent like 68 in one fiscal year? So there's like 10 grand of fund balance that we're now moving up into the expenditures to cover the 78.
Ooh, okay, I lost the thread a little bit. Can you ask the question again?
So we approved an overall project cost of 78?
Yes.
Did it actually cost closer to 88? Or are we doing an amendment because of just the timing of the expenditures?
Yeah, it's the latter. It's the timing of the expenditures. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
It's supposed to be 65 on Saturday, so.
And then it's supposed to be back down, so I,
These are the
15,000.
We're not turning the snow melt off just yet.
all right, final vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, sorry, I didn't bring my glasses.
That's all right.
Okay, next, fiscal year 2027 to 2029 reauthorization plan and budget.
Yes, so this is the show. This is why we're all here today.
Yes, big one, big one.
So we have been working diligently to craft the operations plan for the Downtown Improvement District's operation over the next 3 years. So there's just a couple of highlights I want to go through. The only thing that will be on screen is the budget, but there's a few things I want to talk about before we dip into that. By and large, the plan has not changed too much from the last reauthorization that this body approved in 2023. The biggest non-budgetary change was the expansion of the district south along the west side of Market Avenue to include the new amphitheater site. This will be the first time the district has expanded since 2015. So other than that, we were looking at both, if you recall, a potential expansion on the west side and a potential expansion into the River District neighborhood in Monroe North. West Side, for those of you that were not aware of these conversations, is engaged in looking at their own improvement district, and so we did not feel that this was the time to get involved in that. They need to figure out what they're doing and charting their own course ahead, and we may or may not be part of that conversation. And then through conversations with both residents and businesses in Monroe North, River North, very interested in the DID, not super interested in paying for it, at least right now. They think a conversation is probably better had in the next 3 years at the end of this plan, as that neighborhood continues to undergo development and changes, and seeing all of the investment in there. So we're going to continue to watch both the West Side and the River North changes and developments, and as those things happen, we've offered to be available to the West Side CIA, who's leading the conversation about their own improvement district, as a resource. And we have pledged to continue the conversation with both Noble and that's neighbors of Belknap Lookout, for those of you that might not know that, and the River North Business Association, as we continue to talk about maintenance operations and those type of district needs over the next 3 years. So certainly we don't want to have a conversation with them starting in the next 3 years. We want to kind of have that conversation gradually as we kind of take them along. Otherwise, all of the changes that are really in the plan are reflected in the budget up here. So I'm going to kind of walk through that. So nothing, we're not, changing any formulas or doing anything kind of major. So we've tied revenue increases specifically to this state inflation rate multiplier. So for those of you paying attention at home, that was 2.7% this year. So we have baked in a 3% increase into the 2027 budget just to keep with inflation. And we have also baked that 3% increase into the resident assessment, which is a total of $4 per residential parcel per year. So not a huge ask for the residents to contribute an additional 3%. Based on the snowmelt assessment, or the snowmelt study, we're not recommending any changes to the snowmelt assessment. We think it's fine at $170,000 plus the snowmelt interest. Anticipated uncollected assessment, so we assess folks who are not required to pay their assessment because they are governmental entities. They fall into that specific category. I did tweak the formula I used on this just to increase the amount that we are anticipating not collecting, just to bring us closer in line with what we've not been collecting over the year. So in total, about $1.5 million in total revenue expected for FY27. Changes on the expenditure side, so we've baked in, but this body has yet to approve, an increase in the ambassador expenditure. This would cover essential raises and a couple of pieces of equipment. We'll be back with that recommendation later in the fiscal year, likely when we bring this plan back to you all to approve after it walks through the city commission process. Increased the irrigation and utilities amounts. If you look at historic budgets of the DID, this continues to be an area where we are spending a significant amount of revenue in the operations side. We manage quite a bit of irrigation in the district. That stuff is finicky, even in your own yard, let alone publicly speaking, so we're repairing of that a lot. But it is a huge help to keep the ambassador team freed up a little bit so that they're not hand watering everything we plant. And then additionally, we saw a pretty minor increase in flowers and planting for the FY27 year, so not a huge budget increase there. And then special projects, so if you're tracking previous budgets to now, this looks like a significant decrease. However, the special project line item was specifically reserved for residential ambassador services. We've baked all of that into the ambassador program line item so that we're not managing two different ambassador line items. We did this in the past before we had two ambassador line items. We consolidated them and we're just kind of doing the same thing. So that special project budget of $7,500 is now just sort of general operating maintenance fee resources rather for us to use. On to marketing and communications. So previous budgets had us having some personnel and supplies in this line item. We've cut the personnel. We didn't actually fire anybody. It turns out we weren't really using that line item. So rather than reserve money for personnel, we've actually just sort of turned it all into supplies. So the DID will be making a larger contribution to our small business and downtown district marketing efforts. Similarly, in administration, in working with our admin team, you'll probably notice on your budgets that we looked at earlier this meeting, there are several line items for professional services, overhead, personnel, et cetera. Working with our admin team, they asked us just to bake that all into one singular line item to give them a little bit more flexibility on how that money is spent. It also helps us not have to guess how much we're going to pay for professional services or personnel. So we've just sort of baked all of that into a single line item just for ease of both budget reading and both budget management, and asking for just a little bit of increase on that. And then the A87 city costs are determined by the city, and so we have those for all of the 3 years planned out. That's sort of the broad overview of both the FY27 and all of the assumptions we've made in both the FY28 and 29 budget. There are 2 other exceptions for the FY28 and 29 budget. So because the improvement district is expanding to capture the amphitheater, there will be an additional assessment dollars raised as part of that. However, we're going to get in the weeds here. Based on the way that we assess, the amphitheater won't actually be assessed until, we won't realize that assessment until the FY28 budget, because it's based on real property characteristics as of the 31st of December of the year before that. So the amphitheater being under construction on that date doesn't get assessed. So we won't realize those budgetary dollars until FY28. So we have baked in a 4% increase to the overall assessment, as well as added about $24,000 of assessment dollars to the district-wide assessment. So 4% is the max that our plan allows us to assess. So we bake in that much every time we forecast the budget out, because we can always walk the budget back. We can't go above a ceiling. So if it comes in at 2% or 3% inflation for the FY28 budget, we have to bring that budget back to this body anyway. So we'll make those adjustments every year when we bring you the individualized budgets. But baking in a 4%, when we do the reauthorization, allows us the ability to go up to 4% should we need to. And then we bake in the $24,000 from the amphitheater, because again, we can't go up above a ceiling. We can walk it back. So by baking in the $24,000 in addition to the 4% assessment revenue, or 4% increase on the assessment revenue, allows us to capture the amphitheater. If we didn't do that, it would actually dilute assessments. And we have found through rigorous study that if we don't factor these new assessments in properly, the DID actually on average loses about 3% of revenue every year. Similarly, we've done the same thing in 2029 with the soccer stadium. So we've baked in $20,000 extra dollars on top of the assessment, as well as baked in a 4% area-wide revenue increase for the district-wide assessment. That's a lot of detail to get through. That is essentially how we've laid out the budget for the next 3 years. Excuse me. I'm happy to take any questions you all might have on any of these. And if I need to clarify anything, let me know.
On the residential assessment, I see that's static. So is that just a conservative baseline, basically?
Correct, yeah. It could potentially go up based on the number of properties. So the assessment characteristics of the properties change kind of year to year. So if you actually looked at our FY26 budget, the residential assessment is higher because there are more properties being assessed as Class 4 properties. There's a lot of reasons why they change and become classified as different things. So just that number tends to fluctuate kind of on its own, just as properties sort of change classification status. So, but yeah, we're being a little conservative with that line item. So,
Thanks.
Kate?
2 questions, and sorry if I missed a prior discussion of the expansion of the boundary, but did we consider going all the way to market to capture the development?
Currently goes all
Not at 509, but we can always adjust it.
Okay. Well, I mean, it might be outside of this budget, so that's a fair point.
That was the thinking, but
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
amend if we need to.
Okay, and then the second question was, and I actually think you said this and I just didn't track, for the expansion of the boundaries.
Yes.
And then anticipating soccer.
Yes.
does the ambassador program assumption bake in more staff hours to service those areas or their events?
Great question. So I have built in increases in expenditure for the ambassador program at about 4 to 5% in both the 28 and 29 fiscal years. So it would increase we don't have a plan for how we're going to use those increases yet. Could be higher wages, could be more hours, but we have baked in a 4 to 5% increase for the next 2 years. And then we have an increase this year, which is going to be largely around wages, but we haven't made that ask of this body yet.
Oh, that was the.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, we have increased the ambassador operation costs for the next 2 years as well.
And then there was a sidebar going on over here, but just so everyone's clear, that the CAA who will own those facilities ultimately would be a voluntary payer. So we're expecting, and they pay for the other facilities that they manage in downtown, but that'll be a conversation that we have with them. So we'll need to identify what the service would be for, what the amount would be. So you'll be briefed on that, and that'll be included in the budget. But we're planning for it; they're aware of it, but we need to solidify the plan before we would actually execute it.
Monica, just a question, not on the budget numbers, because $1.5 million goes pretty quick. As far as to additional, just something to raise just from the standpoint of the public safety component of what we do. I think it's really tough to really do that well, within the ambassador program. So I'm not suggesting that we find funds within this, and I'm saying that, but just as this advocates from this board of wanting some level of continuous, like whether it be private security or others, when we've been able to do that or help with that. Kate mentioned a program that was done like 2 years ago or whatever, or the city did something, DDA did something. I think that's a help or something to kind of think about. Even something as small as like we can't clean the alleyways because they're not safe, right? And they're not even in the scope or that sort of stuff. Like these are things that are real and they do impact how people react to what's there. And you can see the impact of where it's done, like at Cedar Park, which where they have security that's paid for by there, makes a big difference ultimately. So I'm not suggesting that you change the line on the budget, but when you do bring these up, I think it's important to bring up the fact that, hey, these concerns were raised by people on the DID board, that there's just a gap that we're seeing that we need to find a solution for, but I'm not suggesting that there's any more to squeeze out of this lemon, to get it there.
Yeah.
But I just something to kind of say. And along that, kind of back to that, the city services one, there's a base level, of contract that's there. So I think it's more bringing up on that point is how do we interact together around that point? Because that's really what it is, right? Like these things got chopped off just because there's better mechanisms to execute these things than to tie up what is in the machine of city government doing every single point of what it is. But if we lose the ability to kind of raise our hand and go, hey, there's some problem that like we know we can't own with this funds, but we need to own the advocacy of, that's what I'm suggesting, I guess. So, yeah. So maybe within those two things, within our public safety part of this and within the base level of service, whatever we decided that, I don't even know what that is, but whatever that is that we're kind of required to do might be ways we can talk about it. That's all I would say.
Can we also remind, can you remind the group of the process for this plan, the timeline? Is that a part of this too?
Yep.
Okay.
So, let me get to it here. The process and timeline for this. So, assuming you all recommend this plan today, it will go to City Commission. City Commission will review this, set a date for public hearing. We'll have that public hearing. There will be then a follow-up meeting where this is voted on, and then it will come back from City Commission to this body to accept the plan. So you'll actually vote on this plan a second time after today. And then once all of that's done, ideally in June or by June, this plan will take effect July 1st of 2026.
Thank you.
There's a lot more nuance to that in terms of noticing and things like that, but that's sort of the big, broad picture of how that works.
Thank you. Okay. We can entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Motion is written.
Support. Any additional questions, comments, or discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There you go.
Oops, sorry, Tim, that's my fault.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
All right.
Tim,
Thanks, everyone. Way to make up some time there. Good. Just a couple things to highlight, and some of this won't be news to many of you, but we are updating our GR Forward master plan for downtown. Had a consultant team in town a couple weeks ago. They're starting to do interviews with various stakeholders, and then starting to chart out the calendar. So you'll hear a lot more about this in the year ahead, but just want to keep this on your radar as it's a pretty big initiative that we are moving ahead. I think you all know, but the Whitewater project is moving forward. Contract was awarded at commission earlier, February.
month.
Was it February? March.
Yeah.
So that's moving ahead. Planned start date is July 1, but there'll be some mobilization happening ahead of that, and exciting to see.
April.
Anything to add?
We'll mobilize in April.
Mobilize in
So
April.
you're gonna see
Okay.
some stuff happening,
Yeah.
and then Abawan will be closed for that.
So be ready. Amphitheater opens in 58 days, and it is coming quick. So there's new shows being announced every few days, and there's a lot of excitement building around that. Also, a lot of work happening to coordinate city, county, DJI is helping with some of the visitor experience initiatives. Obviously, a lot of discussion around mobility, how people are going to get here, how they're going to get around, making sure businesses are informed so that they can take advantage of all the people that will be here. Little known fact, there's also a sold out show at the arena that Friday night. So the first go around for this thing is just going to be like ripping the Band-Aid off. So
And a convention at DeVos and an event at.
come down, see a show, or just people watch because there'll be a lot going on.
Like Ducks Small plan that?
McKeegan, I think McKeegan was just you know what, screw it, let's just do this. And then soccer, a little behind, but still going up quickly. This opens, I think as you all know, a year from May. Dave and I were talking ahead of the meeting. If you go into the Y and you walk around the track, you get a perfect view right into the stadium. This is, I think, about from 2 weeks ago, but you're starting to see the canopy stuff take shape. So very cool to see. We are, through the DDA, also having conversations, continuing to have conversations about the development site to the north there. Rockford is leading that with us. So as you might recall, that parcel was included in the transformational brownfield application for a residential tower. So we are still working through that with them, with the expectation that we'll be advancing a plan by the end of the calendar year. And then I think this is the last slide, but we wrapped up World of Winter March 1st. So shout out to our team, most of whom are not here because they're finally getting a break and warming up. But all hands on deck. Our events and activation team, though, carries a lot of the water on this and did another amazing job. We had a lot of great events, a lot of great feedback. We're now collecting data, and we'll have a wrap report to share around, but another great season of World of Winter. And I think that's it. But happy to take any questions.
any questions for Tim? Yes.
The tower that's just gonna go north of the soccer stadium, how many stories are they looking at? Are they trying to max out?
They are trying to max out, but it's
Wow.
still TBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many stories is that? 27? What's the max out? What's
No,
it? 9 plus the 3 and then
zoning
take the
can
1?
maybe get you to around 20, but yeah, we're trying to make sure it pencils first. So yeah.
Gotcha.
More to share in the next few months.
Cool, thank you.
Yep.
Another question
Yes.
along those lines. So I saw the article about the hotel study at the convention center. Do you have any more color to add to that in terms of like, okay, we have this study and some results, but what would the next steps be in moving that forward?
That lives largely with CAA and Experience Grand Rapids. And really the rationale behind it, and Kate, I don't know if you have anything to add as well, but rationale is in order to kind of grow to the next tier of conventions, we need to have connected space to the convention center. So they've been looking at that hotel for a few years now, and as part of the destination asset study, it was done about 6 years ago, that had the amphitheater and stadium in it. So I think they wanted to dust it off, to have it updated, and then they're starting to plan and understand what it would actually take to deliver. I don't know if there's anything I missed there, but I think,
Nothing else additional
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah.
That's great.
Other questions? And it doesn't look like we have any public comment. Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, any additional items from the board for discussion? Questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tim, Melvin.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry I was tardy, guys.